Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Look, we're skipping the slow, boring introductions today because we're jumping straight into the high-octane energy of what was quite literally a legendary sporting performance. We are unpacking the absolute sheer force of nature that was Jude Bellingham during the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty specifics, it's really worth remembering the historic gravity of this 2026 run. I mean, this was a tournament that demanded absolute perfection, and Bellingham, well, he delivered a total masterclass in tactical intelligence and just raw physical dominance. So based on the raw live commentary straight from the tournament, we're going to break down exactly how this entire campaign unfolded, goal by goal, moment by moment. Okay, let's dive into this. Is it going to be number 6? Oh, you bet it is. Just listen to the absolute sheer certainty in that broadcast call. When you hear those words, you can practically feel the electricity, right? The absolute conviction in the commentator's voice. I mean, this wasn't just a player having a good run of form. No way. This was a generational talent absolutely dominating the global stage with this aura of inevitability. And that brings us to this massive, absolutely crucial number, 6. To put that into perspective, in the context of a modern World Cup, hitting 6 goals is an astronomical feat. Defenses at this elite level are incredibly sophisticated. They're using intense low blocks, highly specialized marking systems, the whole shebang. So to score 6 times, that requires way more than just good finishing. It takes a deep, almost instinctual reading of the game to consistently find these tiny pockets of space where literally none seem to exist. It represents the absolute pinnacle of this incredible chronological journey we're about to take. Because to really understand the magnitude of securing 6 goals on football's biggest stage, we've got to rewind and look at exactly how we reached this milestone, step by step, right from the very beginning. Part 1. Entering Mexican Dreamland. Let's look at how that early tournament momentum started building. So the initial spark ignited with a brilliant break. It all starts with Bukayo Saka's perfectly precise delivery into the box. And Bellingham, who is just perfectly positioned, capitalizes instantly with what the broadcaster rightly hailed as a splendid first-time take. That instantaneous execution, it completely set the tone. But tactically, this is where you really see Bellingham's spatial genius at work. He isn't just running blindly into the penalty area. He's actively mapping the defenders, predicting the exact trajectory of Saka's cross, and timing his arrival down to the millisecond. By taking it first time, he completely removes any chance for the defense to reset. That gave England the early lead and established this relentless rhythm that would basically define the rest of their tournament. And that early advantage gave us this beautifully poetic phrase from the commentary booth, Mexican Dreamland. I just love this, because it perfectly captures the absolute euphoria of the team's early advantage. It wasn't just about winning at that point, it was about this feeling of unstoppable momentum. It was like a dreamlike state of dominance on the pitch, where literally every pass, every run, and every tactical shift was just clicking perfectly for England. Moving right along to part 2, 2 in 2 minutes. We are escalating to a rapid-fire sequence of events here. And this brilliantly illustrates Bellingham's true genius in this tournament, his unparalleled versatility. Notice the stark contrast here. On one hand, you've got his seamless, perfectly orchestrated chemistry with Harry Kane, which produced 2 goals in 2 minutes. We're talking rapid passing sequences that just absolutely tore through structured defenses, using intricate, pre-planned movements. But then, on the other hand, you have this pure, opportunistic synergy with Morgan Rogers. This wasn't about some orchestrated buildup. This was all about adapting on the fly. It shows how Bellingham is basically a chameleon on the pitch. He effortlessly adjusts his tempo and his style to whoever is around him, whether that means pulling the strings in rapid-fire sequences with Kane, or just thriving in the unpredictable, opportunistic chaos alongside Rogers. Part 3. Cometh the hour. Because eventually, the tension ramps up and a crucial equalizer is desperately needed. Right, because Dreamlands don't last forever without a serious test, and the tension naturally escalated. The team found themselves in a highly stressful position where they desperately, urgently needed a lifeline. Just listen to this historical poetry from the commentary box. Cometh the hour, cometh England's number 10 yet again. Man, that gives you chills. This wasn't just your standard goal call. This was a profound recognition of the immense, almost crushing pressure placed squarely on Bellingham's shoulders in that exact desperate moment. When the tactical system breaks down and the game plan just isn't enough, teams have to rely on sheer individual brilliance. And he delivered exactly what was needed to pull them back from the brink. And we have to talk about the number 10 jersey. It carries such an incredibly heavy legacy, right? It signifies the playmaker, the creator, the ultimate savior. When Bellingham secured that well-done equalizer, he didn't just wear the number on his back. He carried the full weight of its legacy exactly when England needed it most. Tactically speaking, playing the 10 role in modern football is completely exhausting. You are the absolute focal point of the opposition's defensive block. You're constantly surrounded, constantly harassed. Yet, in the absolute most critical hour of the match, he found the mental clarity and the sheer physical endurance to embody that savior role perfectly. Part 4. Breaking the French defense. Shifting focus now to a high-tension climax and a chaotic sequence in the box. So, the crucial point is how this breakthrough came down to one utterly chaotic micro-moment in the box. Morgan Rogers lets it fly. The French keeper, Neand, spills the shot. And who is instantly, inevitably there on the follow-up? Bellingham. It's just relentless predatory positioning. Because of this immediate, intense pressure, you suddenly have a formidable team like France entirely backtracking, caught completely on their heels. The real tactical insight here is that Bellingham doesn't just switch off when the ball leaves his teammate's foot. While the French defenders are ball-watching, anticipating a clean save, Bellingham is already computing the rebound trajectory. He literally turns a momentary mistake by the keeper into a massive 2-1 breakthrough simply by being half a second faster in his mental processing than the entire French backline. Incredible. Let's move to and see how this builds, because looking at the timeline of the tournament, we see a perfect chronological escalation. It started with that splendid first-time take, establishing all that early momentum. Then it builds to the heavy pressure equalizer right in the middle, proving his absolute mettle when the stakes were at their highest. And finally, it crescendos at the end with securing number 6. It shows a complete, well-rounded player who doesn't just flash brilliance in a single game, but manages to sustain an incredibly high level of output across the grueling, month-long marathon that is the World Cup. And finally, Part 5, the final sign-off, bringing the narrative to its absolute peak. Now, what's really interesting about the slide is the pure, genuine awe in this final broadcast call. What a way to sign off at the end of the World Cup. When you consider everything we've just mapped out today, the rapid goals with Kane, the opportunistic follow-ups with Rogers, breaking down backtracking elite defenses, and hitting that massive number 6 milestone, this quote really connects us to the true historical weight of his performance. It wasn't just a great tournament run. For sure, it was a defining chapter in football history, and it was being written live, right there on the pitch. So, based on the sheer hype of the commentary we've heard and the undeniable tactical impact of these moments, it leaves us with one massive, provocative question to ponder. Is this the greatest individual campaign in England's history? Think about it. The first-time takes, those clutch equalizers under immense pressure, and the relentless drive to push past the world's most elite defenses. I really hope this explainer gave you a clear, structured view of this incredible 2026 run. And honestly, I wouldn't blame you at all if you immediately go back to rewatch those matches right now. Thanks for joining.